you were to ask me at the start of this AI race, who I'd want to put my money on, it would probably have been Meta, because definitely they have shown the posturing for them having the grit to move all their resources to a singular purpose. They've done that with the metaverse. They just dropped $10 billion and rebranded the company because they wanted to bet big on the metaverse. And that was a bit of a fugazi of a trend, right? Other than the folks within Meta, nobody was really sold on the metaverse. But this AI race, this is very real. Companies are making money. Users, like you and me, are finding value in using AI tools. And there very much is a winner-takes-all kind of melee combat happening between the giants here and some of the newer giants, like OpenAI and Anthropic. And Meta has been consistently dropping the ball, and I just don't know why. I don't understand why Meta is so behind the curve on this. They have the engineering talent. They have all of the talent acquisition pipeline in place that gets them to top talent. They've been dropping multi-million-dollar pay packages to be attracting top talent. They are super efficiency focused. They have a cash stream, like a glacier of cash that they get from their ads businesses, so they can keep funding their AI ambitions for as long as they need. But the bottom line is, Meta just simply does not have an AI model that can compete with the likes of OpenAI's models, Anthropic's models, Google's models. In fact, according to prediction markets, Gemini is slated to have the highest performing model by the end of this year. Most people that are placing bets and putting money where their mouth is think that Gemini is going to be the best model, which is actually kind of a pretty impressive feat because Google isn't a startup, it's an oil tanker. And the fact that they're able to move the right units, move the right people, mobilize their resources in a way that they can compete with new startups like OpenAI and Anthropic is pretty darn impressive, right? And Meta hasn't been, it's not like Meta hasn't been trying. They wanted to be very AI first, so they acquired Scale AI for $14 billion. They got a 49% stake in the company because they didn't want this glorified data labeling company to render its services to any of its other competitors. So in a way, it was like, hey, I'll take this valuable resource and not give you access to this valuable resource. Go find your own data labeling solutions, right? Meta recently struck a deal with Google, a $10 billion worth of cloud infrastructure deal where they're going to be using Google Cloud provider services because Meta, by the way, owns its own data centers, right? They have a hybrid cloud deployment using AWS and Azure, and they also own their own data structures, but that is not enough for their AI ambitions. So they've partnered with Google Cloud Provider Services so that they can get that lift under their wings when it comes to the cloud deployment infrastructure they need to meet their AI ambitions. Meta also just partnered with Midjourney, which was a very interesting one because Midjourney is kind of like indie AI, indie image generation AI. They definitely do an amazing job, to be honest. My first exposure to AI image generation, much like so many of you, I'm sure, has been through Midjourney. They do a phenomenal job of generating these really dreamy, surreal images. And it just baffles me that Meta can't come up with that on their own. They have the resources, they have the money, they have the talent, but they need to partner with Midjourney to come up with image generation capabilities. Most other AI companies were able to come up with these capabilities on their own. Grok has image generation capabilities. Llama, we're going to talk about Llama in a second, but I'm sure you've seen those suggested images that Facebook, Instagram, or WhatsApp offers in their feeds about, oh, you could create an image like this. And they're never too appealing, right? So I understand this partnership, this need for partnership with Midjourney. But another alternative route could have been, let's just double down on the resources we have and let's try to make them better instead of acqui-hiring or acquiring all these other players. Because at the end of the day, right, the winner in this AI race is not going to be the party or the company that's able to create a patchwork of a lot of different working services under a lot of different banners, it's going to be the company that has the best frontier model. It's going to be the company that delivers the best results against most benchmarks for their frontier model. And up until now, Meta's Llama definitely has not delivered. I think Meta should really try branding some of the other wins that it has had in recent years. It doesn't really have to be AI specific. Meta had a project that was going to fly planes around the world to provide internet coverage, Wi-Fi from the sky, lower than low Earth orbit satellites, obviously, because they were literally going to be low energy planes that would just provide Wi-Fi from the sky so that it could connect the rest of the world to the internet, which is an incredibly valuable infrastructure building service. And I wish Meta would, publicize that more. They have these undersea submarine cables that connect continents, dedicated just for the Meta suite of services, data streams. That's an impressive feat. That's a really expensive feat. And these are the kind of crazy projects Meta is able to undertake because they have the money to bankroll all of these ambitions. Why the Llama series of models consistently still underperforms compared to OpenAI, Anthropic, Gemini, Mistral AI, all of these other models, DeepSeek, is beyond me. So, yeah, I think Meta really needs to get its act together. There's a lot of factors that has been working for Meta, right? They have a hardware platform that is pretty AI first, I think. The Meta Ray-Ban collaboration makes accessing AI the quickest and most hassle-free compared to all the other hardware platforms that exist. If you want to interface with AI using just your voice and you want to show an AI model whatever it is you're seeing and ask questions about it, the best hardware form factor that you have to do that is the Meta Ray-Ban glasses. And they've also partnered with Oakley to come up with a more premium version of those glasses. And they're investing in this tech. Meta has the first mover advantage. Google tried to do this with Google Glasses in the early, God knows when, and they flopped. It flopped pretty hard, but Meta really seemed to have delivered on this. So they have a lot of factors working for them. They're able to attract talent. They're able to retain talent. They're able to get the hardware they need. They're able to get the infrastructure they need. I think Meta should focus all of that effort into making their Llama suite of models better. Because when you have a solid bedrock, everything else is just going to fall into place. Yeah. I do have a soft spot for Meta because I think they are one of the few companies that are operating at the scale that they're operating, but still trying to conduct themselves like a startup. But instead of acquiring or acquiring a whole bunch of assets, which is kind of in Meta's strategy, like they acquired Instagram, which has got to be one of the most valuable assets, one of the most valuable media assets on the face of the planet right now. It was an acquisition. So was WhatsApp. Nobody uses Facebook anymore. If you talk to anybody that's Gen Z or younger, they're not even aware of Facebook, right? So that's their original product innovation is a dying one. Is a dinosaur. Anyway, I wouldn't count Meta out just yet, but if you were to look at the leaderboard right now, things are not looking too great for Meta. Anyway, thanks for tagging along. I'll